Time, 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 time,
Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared. And so I had nothing else going on this weekend, amazingly. And so I figured I'd take a look at my bookshelves or book bins and various other means I have of storing books and take a look at what I have on my shelves that I haven't read yet. Most of the times when you see my videos, they're right down there. So you see that spot's blank right now. But and there were a few other spaces as well. So these are all the stuff I haven't read yet. I don't do like official TBRs. I have most of my time for most of the things I'm going to read are taking up in slots by read-alongs. I do a lot of read-alongs, and I enjoy those immensely. So setting a TBR isn't really beneficial to me because I kind of have that read-along schedule, and so I fit in occasional extra books whenever I can, and but it happens about uh, 2 extra books a month, aside from my read along. So eventually, I hope to get to some of these, and some will be sooner than later, but we'll see. I'm going to start off with a couple that I'm probably not going to get to anytime soon, but you never know. I might just dip in here and there, depending on my mood. So, this first one here is called on the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. So this is of course, the foundation of all of our evolutionary science, and it 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 demands to be read. It demands to be had, and it demands to be and it's a thing that's referenced by so much science and so much philosophy, and so I really owe it to myself to get to that. All right. And this, look at, I love these leather leather covers here. Also in that vein, I have Common Sense and Other Works by Thomas Paine. He was one of our founding fathers of the United States of America, and he had tons of essays on the rights of man, and so it's a very important work, and he was also one of the original free thinkers who was definitely for the separation of church and state, which is good. So I would like to get to at least some excerpts from that someday, but that's all history and waiting, right? On to some funner stuff here. I'll start with the bigger hardcovers or bigger trades and hardcovers first. Um, I picked this up at ICFA, the International Conference for the Fantastic in the Arts that I went to last year, and this is the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin, and I've always wanted to get to this one. So it's there. It's on the shelf, so that's pretty cool. I also picked this up at a used bookstore, C.J. Cherry, Forge of Heaven, and I think this is a sci-fi book, I believe. I just got a really good deal on it, and it's a really old, nice-looking hardcover, and that classic style. I like the size, and I like the feel of it. So, and I have read a long time ago. I read a book by her called Gates of Ivrel, I think, and it was pretty good. And I've heard a lot of other good stuff about her writing, so I wanted to. So I picked that up because it was such a great deal when I did. So also I have one of my favorite authors, Stephen Donaldson, The Man Who Fought Alone. This is part of his detective series. This is the fourth book in that series of the Man Who series. And I've read the first two so far, so I do hope to get to this sometime, probably next year, after I read the third one. All right, so that's very cool. I have This River Awakens by Steven Erikson. Of course, here on BookTube, everybody's familiar with Steven Erikson, author of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And this is a more of a literary novel by Erikson, one of his early published works. And so I'm really looking forward to this. Don't know when I'm going to get to it. Pick this up at ICFA as well as this. So a lot of great stuff there. So that's fantastic. Here's a book I picked up on my own at Barnes & Noble. History book called Oathbreakers. It's the war of brothers that shattered an empire and made medieval Europe. Basically, it's about the war between the sons of Charlemagne, the King Charles the Great, they call him. Charlemagne was an emperor who got crowned by the Pope back in 800 or 900. So I forget the exact dates, but this is he divided his kingdom among three sons, and this is the result. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's not a long book by any means. So I do want to get to some nonfiction reading soon, because I've kind of been lacking in my nonfiction reads this year, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something I like to do sometimes. All right, another book I picked up at ICFA a long time ago is the Line Between by Peter Beagle. This is some short stories by him, so I want to get to that. That's pretty cool. I have Salman Rushdie's Shame, a shorter novel by him, because most of his are much longer. But I will be getting to this fairly soon, I think, as part of our literary side hustle, read-alongs. But it's down on the list, but it will be eventually coming up. Here's one that I'm really kind of bummed that I haven't read yet, and that is Shadow and Claw by Gene Wolfe, which contains two novels, Clara the Conciliator, I believe, and The Shadow of the Torturer. So I really want to get to some more Gene Wolfe whenever I get a chance. I know these books are in the Sci-Fi Masterwork collection, but they're way down the list. So I don't know if I'm going to end up reading this before we ever get to that for that read along, or if things don't work out, I'll end up reading it anyways sometime. All right, another ICFA pickup was ElfQuest: The Blood of 10 Chiefs, and this is a collection of short stories in the ElfQuest universe. And what was funny about this is I could have sworn I read this before, but I'm not sure if I did. I might have read comic book adaptations of these stories and not the actual prose. And what's cool about this collection is there's some known authors in here, including Janie Wirtz, which is pretty cool. But it's also Lynn Abbey, Piers Anthony, Robert Asprin, C.J. Cherry, who we mentioned earlier, Richard Penny, of course, Nancy Springer, Mark Perry, Alan Wold, and Diana Paxson. So that's a pretty good list of some really good authors, and I'm looking forward to reading some of these short stories at some point, especially the Janie Wirtz one. Yeah. All right. Another one on my pile is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is book 2 of the Farseer trilogy. Of course, I finished the Assassin's Apprentice earlier in the year, so I do want to get to that at some point. And of course, another ICFA bargain find, which was just outstanding, is To Ride Hell's Chasm by Janie Wirtz. I want to get to this. Of course, I'm going to wait until I am all done with the Wars of Light and Shadow read-along before I tackle more Wirtz, but I will eventually get there. And then look at this big chunky thing. Don't be fooled. 10 books in one. The Great Book of Amber. The Complete Amber Chronicles, 1 through 10, all the novels of the towering fantasy saga by Roger Zelazny. I loved Zelazny's book, Lord of Light. So I saw this at the used bookstore really cheap, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick that up. Because, eventually I am going to read those. All right, I also got this at ICFA, and this is by Robert J. Sawyer, The Downloaded. This was one of his most recent novels, and he was at ICFA, Robert Sawyer, and was so kind to sign it for me. Yeah, I am really interested because I've heard a lot about him from other people at ICFA. And he's a great guy. I talked to him, and he's funny, and so I'm looking forward to reading his stuff. And I also got a couple of free magazines down at ICFA, Asimov science fiction magazines, and so these are full of short stories, and I want to get to those too. So that's pretty cool. And some paperbacks I got here. I have I'll do two at once here. I got. I got Magician's Apprentice and Silverthorn from Raymond E. Feist, and I know I need to get the middle one, which is Magician Master. This is the original Rift War books, the first three. These are the first, two, 1 and 3 of the first three, and so I want to read these two someday because I want to get to this Empire trilogy, or the so this is I think this is book 1, maybe, in the Empire trilogy by Raymond Feist and Janie Wirtz, and so more Janie Wirtz to get to, and more Raymond Feist to get to, and that's going to be. I want to get to that series eventually as well. I think I have the other books on Kindle, on e-reader. Yeah. And speaking of e-reader, I also have Janie Wirtz's Shadowfane and Keeper of the Keys, and the first book I have on e-reader as well. This is the Cycle of Fire trilogy by Janie Wirtz, and so once again, more Janie Wirtz to get to once I finish the Wars of Light and Shadow. I also have, I think this is my last one here, another Gene Wolfe book, The Knight. This one I can probably get to sooner rather than later. This is the first book in the duology, The Knight, and then I think Knight Wizard, yeah, book 1 of the Wizard Knight. Yeah, so in a duology, this is the first one, so I have it, and no excuses. Other than I'm reading a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, so that's like all the stuff I have sitting on my shelf there. I do have other stuff on my Kindle, including Guy Gabriel Kay's A Song for Our Bone. That's one that really is calling to me, because I want to really get to that. And what else we got? Yeah, I think that'll do for now. That's a lot of stuff. That's all stuff that is unread on my shelves, and hopefully someday I get to it all. I got the man, these are, yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. With all that said, let me know what you got on your shelf that's just been sitting there for a while unread, if that's interests you at all. And with all that said, please like and subscribe below, and please be good to each other. Thank you.